Mosadi and Nazim Moti had got themselves going again quite nicely, and their tyre rack raceco's four wheels stayed on the ground, this time, mostly. And just behind them, the Swaziland club's John Thompson and Clinton McNamara and their Zarko Light Audi 2-litre were steaming along, but their mechanical troubles from the prologue continued to haunt them. At the head of affairs, the older statesman Hannes Grobler, though, had taken control. With his normal mix of aggression and clever driving, he got himself to the front. And try as they might, Nissan Navara teammates Voss and Pitchford just could not close the gap. Woolridge and Schulthammer and their Ford Ranger 4-litre were quick too, but they also could not make an impression on Grobler, even though they were closing on Voss and Pitchford. Cox, out of the event, applied for the cheerleading job, and we figure the audition was so good, he got the position. His teammate Harkis was flying too. Matthews and Moore were trying to close the gap to the top 5, but every time it looked like they were doing it right, they would lose a little time again. Marsh, meanwhile, was still very, very consistent. In fact, he should be called Mr. Ultra Consistent. And he still had time to say hello to the crew. Ann Evans was being lapped by the pace setters at the front as they were limping along. Their Nissan Dealer 400 was more like a 250 in the end. And the end was close. Sounding just a little ill. The Rutherford Doubtfire combination was still going well, making the Koppel club proud. While the Tycho boys were getting it sideways in pursuit of the men just in front of them, Visser and Badenhorst had to settle for 13th in the prologue, but they were in pursuit of a good finish. Besaidnout and De Bruyn had taken the lead in Class B, but had to keep an eye on Corbett and Goosen, who were putting in the biggest charge of the second lap. Varjawa and Van Sale in the total Ford were on their way to finishing the second lap in a combined time of 3 hours and 34 minutes, but it would take its toll on the total Ford. At DSP and Darling, Grobler's crew were overjoyed to see the 3-time champion back home safely ensconced in first place.
So far so good. The vehicle is unbelievable, and we had a good run. We passed 2-3 cars, and on the last lap we passed some of the cars that were still on the first lap. I'm glad that I'm not them.
Woolridge and Schulthammer were home second in the SP class, making Ford fans and pit crew smile widely. It was a great debut for the big Ranger.
Yeah, we're having a good clean ride. You know, for the first time out, I think it's going really well. We're not pushing over the top. You know, it's the first time. It's only done 50 k's this vehicle. We have to look after it. But so we're going at a good steady pace. We got past the one Nissan. It's very, very dusty out there. Very difficult to pass, and a very rough route. I think there's going to be a lot of broken cars tonight. But yeah, it's going well. A couple of small little teething problems wrong with the car, but otherwise I think it's got a lot of potential. Looking forward to the rest of the year.
Indeed, a fine first showing, but the best first showing of the year thus far was undoubtedly Brandon Harkis, who clocked the second fastest time overall and was leading Class A by more than 13 minutes. The Motorride crew would do just about anything to get the vehicle right for the next jaunt. And notice Cox back in the thick of things, trying to help where he can. Harkis almost ready to saddle up and ride on out again. Meanwhile, Duncan Voss punctured at the worst possible time, right in the lead.
Yeah, we were going well. We were leading the SP class in a fast sweep. I just tipped a rock and we had a puncture which put us out of the lead, which was a pity.
And that, unfortunately, is the name of the game. For Terence Marsh, it had been tough out there.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I see the attrition rate is high again. We lost second gear in the first loop through about 50 k's. So we're really just trying to consolidate to bring the car home. Second overall on the road at the moment, so it really is just to drive this last last loop home at a good pace and bring it home.
And for Matthews and Moore, a first-time combination in Darling, it was fun out there. They were well into the top 10. For actor Ben Creer in car with Douwe de Boer and the Mahindra Scorpio, the dust was just too much.
That went very well. The car was going really well. It's incredibly dusty, so we had a clogged up air filter, which choked the engine a bit. And we got to the big spectator point, the mud hole that's about 6 foot deep. And we went into the water, and as we went out the other side, we didn't have enough power to pull us out. The car slid back, the exhaust filled with mud, the engine died. We couldn't get it going again, so in the end, some friendly bystander pulled us out with a winch. We started the car and drove home. We could have finished the rally, but according to the rules, if you get outside assistance, you're out of the rally. So we were out of the rally. So it's a pity, man. I wanted to finish.
Once an actor, always an actor. But there was trouble for Evans and Jooste, who broke a side shaft and couldn't get outside assistance. For Shamir Wariyawa, the car was great, but he was having trouble getting ahead after having a bit of a mare in the prologue and having to race from behind.
No, the total Ford Ranger is really moving. Huh? We just can't pass the guys. You know, the Sandmasters in front, they throwing the dust is basically you can't pass. So we just decided to stick behind them, and we want to go for a finish. We don't want to risk anything and break the car. The last lap, the car is running 100%. It's just the heat. The heat, you can't open the vents, you can't open the windows because you're following other guys in the dust, and you just have to bear the heat.
For the leaders after day one, their race came to an abrupt end when the back suspension decided it did not want to be part of the car anymore.
Yeah, it was lekker when we started, and we passed even about 4 kilometers from the start this morning, and we were going at a very good pace, and we had no problems. We never went wrong. And unfortunately, we had a mishap after the first lap. At that stage, we were leading by 6 minutes. And for me to sit in that position, I was very excited. And but unfortunately, it happened, and something broke on the car, and we're out. But I think we'll be back next time, and we'll give those guys a run for their money.
For Bevan Bartelt and the Castrol Toyota crew, it was hard going. They clocked the 14th fastest time for the 2 laps, but they had an eye on scoring points.
It's a bit rough, but we're just keeping it together. We just need points for the SP class. Just want to come home today, so we can go and get to the front. Nice to learn how to drive these buckies, very, very nice. But I must say the suspension's excellent. These ProFlex shocks are working well on this Toyota, and learning quite a bit, getting the motion a bit quicker, and we're getting there.
So are we, so stay tuned to Extreme Off-Road. Go!